day, everyone. My name is Colin Katie Partosa. Before we discuss the different theories of child and adolescent development, it is important to understand that these theories serve as frameworks that explain how individuals grow and change from childhood to adolescence. Each theory offers a unique perspective on how biological, cognitive, emotional, and social factors influence human development. By studying these six major theories, we gain a deeper understanding of how children learn, think, and behave, helping educators, parents, and caregivers provide the right guidance and support as they grow. Now, let us begin in exploring the first theory of child and adolescence development. Now, I will discuss about Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory and how it contributes to understanding human nature and education in the 21st century. So, Sigmund Freud, also known as the father of psychoanalysis, developed a theory that focuses on how our unconscious mind, emotions, and early experiences shape our personality and behavior. So, in this report, I will explain the main ideas of Freud's theory, how it helps us understand human nature, and how it can be applied to support learners in today's educational setting. Freud's psychoanalytic theory explains that human behavior is influenced by unconscious forces and inner conflicts. He divided the human personality into three parts. First, the ID, which represents our basic desires and instinct like hunger, pleasure, and aggression. Second is the ego, which is the realistic part that balances our desires and demands of reality. The third one is the superego, which is our moral guide, helping us decide what is right and wrong. So these three parts constantly interrupt and affect how we think, feel, and act. Now let's proceed in understanding human nature through Freud's theory. Freud believed that much of our behavior is influenced by the unconscious mind. Thoughts and feelings we are not aware of, but still affect us. He also emphasized the importance of early childhood experiences, the way we are treated and what we experience as a children shape our personality and attitude as an adult. Moreover, Freud taught us that emotions and motivations play a huge role in human actions. This means that understanding people's feelings is key to understanding their behavior. So, the next one is the contribution to the 21st century education. Freud ideas are still valuable in modern education. Teachers today recognize that students are not just thinkers, they are emotional beings too. By applying Freud's theory, teachers can understand students' emotional struggle that might affect their learning, provide guidance and counseling to help students express their feelings, create a safe classroom where students feel supported and understood. Freud's theory also encourages holistic education, where both mental and emotional growth are developed. Teachers in the 21st century must be more empathetic, observant, and responsive to their learners' inner world. So, to sum up everything, Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory help us understand that human behavior and learning are influenced by unseen emotions and early experiences. In 21st century education, teachers can apply these insights by addressing learners' emotional needs, offering guidance, and creating an environment that supports both learning and self expression. By doing so, we help learners not only become knowledgeable, but also emotionally healthy individuals ready to face life's challenges.
So today, everyone, my name is Rachel Mayan Hamaral, and today I will be reporting about John Piaget. So John Piaget was a Swiss psychologist who studied how children think, learn, and understand the world around them. His theory of the cognitive development explains how a child's think changes as they grow older. He believed that children actively construct their own understanding through experience and interactions. Piaget divided cognitive development into four stages, each representing a different way of thinking. So, number one is sensory motor stage, birth to 2 years old. So, in this stage, infants learn about the world through their sense and actions like touching, looking, and moving. They develop object permanence, which means they understand that things still exist even if they can see them. For example, when a toy is hidden. Number two, pre-operational stage, 2 to 7 years old. Children begin to use language and imagination. Their thinking is ecocentric, meaning they have difficulties seeing things from another person's point of view, and they can yet understand logical reasoning or complex ideas like cause and effect. And number three, concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years old. Children start think more logically and concentrately. They can perform simple mental operations such as adding and subtracting. They understand conservation, which means they know that quantity doesn't change even if the shape or appearance does, like when water is poured into a different shaped glass. And the last, number four, formal operational stage, 12 years old and above. Teenagers develop the ability to think abstractly and logically. They can reason about hypothetical situations and think about the future. They use critical thinking and problem solving to form their own ideas and opinions. So, in conclusion, John Piaget's theory shows that children are active learners who build knowledge step by step as they grow. Understanding these stages helps teachers and parents support children's learning at the right level for their age and thinking ability. John Piaget's theory of cognitive development has gently contributed to understanding human nature and improving modern education. His ideas show that learning actively constructs knowledge through experience rather than just receiving information. This helps teachers understand that each learner develops thinking skills at different stages. So, lessons must match their level of understanding. So, in the 21st century, education now focuses more on active learning, critical thinking, and problem solving, which are all based on Piaget principles. His theory encourages teachers to use hands-on activities, collaborative learning, and real-life applications to help students think deeply and creatively. By recognizing how children's mind grow and adapt, educators can create more meaningful learning experiences that develop not just knowledge but also curiosity, independence, and a lifelong love of learning.
Good day, everyone. My name is Miana Hadja, and I will report about the theories of Lev Vygotsky about social cultural development. Lev Vygotsky, 1896 to 1934, a Russian psychologist and educator, developed the social cultural theories. also known as social development theories. This framework emphasizes that cognitive development is not unassociated individual processes, but is deeply shaped by social interaction, culture context, and historical influences. Vygotsky theories rest in the ideas that highly mental function, such as problem solving, memories, and abstract thinking, originated from social activities and are internalized over time. Key principles include social origins of development. A cognitive growth begins in social interaction. Children learning by observing, imitating, collaborating with more knowledgeable others, such as adults or skilled peers, who guide them beyond their independent capabilities. Number two, role of culture. A culture provides the tools from thinking include language, symbols, and artifacts such as writing, system, or technology. These tools vary across society, leading to culturally specific cognitive styles. Number three, mediation through language. A language is a primary psychology tool from development. It starts as social means of communication but become internalized as inner pitch, enables self-regulation and complex too. Vygotsky zone of proximal development, ZPD. This concept explains that the gap between what a learning can do alone and what they can do with help. Zone description. Too easy zone, what the student can already do independently. And zone of proximal development, ZPD, what the student can do with guidance or help from teachers, parents, or peer. And lastly, too hard zone, task, that are beyond the student currently ability even with help. Vygotsky ideas construct sharply in Jean Piaget cognitive stage theories, developed around the same era. Piaget view develop as a driven by individual exploration and universal stage, with social factors secondary. While Vygotsky, however, prioritized social and cultural influence, arguing that develop is continuous and context depends rather than rigidly staged. While Piaget emphasized assimilation and accommodation through personal schemas, Vygotsky focused on collaboration, dialogue, and language, and mechanism for building knowledge.
Good day, everyone. I am Zuleika Ilutian. Today, I will share about Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory, one of the most important theories in understanding human growth. Who is Erikson? Erik Erikson was a German American psychologist who believed that people's growth through social experience throughout life. Unlike Freud, who focused on childhood, Erikson explained that development continues from birth to old age. He proposed 8 stages of psychosocial development, and in each stage, a person faces a conflict that must be resolved to develop a healthy personality. For example, infancy trust versus mistrust means learn to trust others. Adolescence, identity versus self confusion, means finding who we are. Adulthood, generativity versus stagnation, means contributing to society. Each stage builds on the previous one, showing that life is continuous process of learning and growth, contribution of understanding human nature. Erik Erikson's theory helped us understand that our personality is shaped by social interaction and culture. It reminds us that challenges are part of the growth and that we keep developing emotionally and morally throughout life. Application in 21st century education. In education today, Erik Erikson's ideas
guides teachers to focus not only on academic but also on emotional and social development. Teachers can help students build trust, confidence, and identity through positive relationship and supportive learning environments. In short, Eric Erickson's theory teaches us development is lifelong and shaped by our experiences with others. By understanding this, educators can better support students to become confident, responsible, and compassionate learners.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariam Bantat. Since we already learned about Erik Erikson's theory, which explained the stages of psychosocial development, this time let's move on to another important psychologist. Today I will report about Lawrence Kohlberg and his theory of moral development. This will help us understand how people make decisions about what is right and wrong as they grow. So, according to Kohlberg, moral development happens in stages just like Erikson's psychosocial development. But instead of focusing on emotion and identity, he focused on how people reason when faced with moral dilemmas. His theory is divided into three levels, which is the pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Each level has two stages, making a total of 6 stages of moral development. In level 1, we have conventional, ages 3 to 7. The first level is called pre-conventional level. This is common among children. In stage 1, uh, obedience and punishment orientation. At this stage, children follow rules to avoid punishment. For example, a child behave because they don't want to get scolded. In stage 2, we have individualism and exchange or reward orientation. Here, children act based on what they will get in return. For example, a child shares only if they get something back. In level 2, we have the conventional, ages 8 to 13. The second level is the conventional level, usually during school age years. Stage 3, good boy or good girl orientation. At this stage, people behave well to get approval from the others. For example, a student studies hard, so teachers and classmates will see them as a good. Stage 4, law and order orientation. Here, people follow rules and laws because they believe rules are important to maintain order. For example, a teenager obeys school rules because it is the right things to do for discipline and order. In stage 5, we have social contract and individual rights. At this stage, people understand that rules and laws exist for good of society, but they also know that sometimes laws need to be questioned if they are unfair. Stage 6, universal principle of ethics. This is the high stages. People base their morality on universal principles like justice, equality, and human rights, even if it is means going against the law. For example, leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. fought for justice even when laws were against them. In the classroom, teachers can use these stages to guide students' moral growth. For example, in stage 1, teachers should set clear rules and consequences. In stage 2, encourage teamwork. In stage 3, allow students to help create class rules. In stage 4, let them practice responsibility in group projects. And in stage 5 and 6, allow discussion about fairness, justice, and social issues. To conclude, Kohlberg's theory shows us that moral development is a process from childhood until adulthood. Our way of understanding right and wrong becomes deeper. As a student, it is important for us to reflect on our action and think about how our decisions affect others. And as a future leaders or educators, we can also guide others to develop strong moral values. Good day, everyone. In our previous report, we already discussed the different theories about human development, like Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory and Lawrence Kohlberg moral development theory. So, now we will look at the another important theory that explains how a child environment affect their growth and learning. This is called Yuri Bronfenbrenner's ecological system theory. So, according to Bronfenbrenner's, a child does not grow and develop alone. Instead, their development is influenced by different systems that surrounds them, from their family to the bigger society. So as we can see in the diagram, the child is at the center. Surrounding the child are five systems that interact with each other: the microsystem, mesosystem, exosystem, macrosystem, and the chronosystem. So let me explain them one by one. Microsystem. The first and closest system is the microsystem. These are the people and places the child interact with directly, like family, school, peers, teachers, and even health services. For example, when parents give love and support, or when teachers guide the child in school, they has a direct effect on their development. Mesosystem. The second is the mesosystem. This refers to the connection between the different microsystems. In other words, it's how the child's immediate environments work together. For example, if parents and teachers have good communication, it can help the child perform better in school. So, the relationship between home, school, and peers plays a big role. Exosystem. The third system is the exosystem. These are environments that the child does not directly participate in but still affect them. For example, the parents' workplace, school board, neighbors, or government agencies. If a parent loses their job, the child may feel the effect, even if they are not directly involved in the workplace. Macro system. The fourth is the macro system. This includes the larger culture, beliefs, values, tradition, and laws that shape the child's life. For example, cultural attitude towards education or religion can influence how children are raised and what opportunities are given to them. Chrono system. And the last is the chrono system. This refers to changes over time. It includes life events and transitions like parents' divorce, moving to a new place, or even big historical events such as a pandemic. These changes affect the child's development at different stages of life. So, according to this theory, teachers and parents should maintain good communication and work together to support the child, understanding the situations that families experience, such as social and economical factors, help us guide students better. Likewise, the child must also be active in their learning, both academically and socially. They should collaborate with peers and participate in meaningful learning experience for positive development. So, to conclude, Yuri Bronfenbrenner's ecological system theory shows us that a child's growth and development is not only about what happens inside the family or the classroom. It is also shaped by a bigger system like society, culture, and even historical events. This reminds us that raising and educating a child is not the responsibility of one person alone. It involves the family, the school, and the whole community working together.